something? Which will it be? Will you take this one? We're counting on you.
There we go. Let's do it to it. Get in
Looks like
there.
they're coming for us. You ready?
Ready? Time to start!
What the?
No one
Looking good.
Away with you!
The pond's
Looks like we got a second to catch our breath before things heat up again. No fair! It called its buddies!
Let's fall.
Enough!
Help you, big sweetie!
Close call.
The butterfly.
Stay focused!
Evanescence.
Yeah! Looking good. Just like got you covered.
Going on the sea.
Looking good. Lay it on him. Looking good.
Darkness across the blue.
Nope.
Wind in the fields.
Looks like we got a second to catch our breath before things heat up again. They just keep coming, but we'll show them who's boss.
Spread your power. Nightfall. Rain on the hill.
Looking good. Just like that. Easy peasy.
Foam on the sea.
Yeah, time to shine. Wide open. Stay focused, Drew.
Understood.
Of course. This'll show him. Hold steady.
Let's do it!
Rain on the hills. Pass away. Crescent moon. The pond struggle. Foam on the sea.
Looking good.
The final song.
That's one way down, but looks like there's still more of them.
Decimate. Overdrive
Not
surge.
liking the look of this, but don't let it intimidate ya.
You make me so proud.
Clarity. Thank you. Yeah. Right behind you.
Hey, that really worked!
No kidding.
Never fail
Full
me.
agreement.
Tear them
Let's
down.
go. Just like that.
Keep your wits about you.
Yes.
Very well.
Nope. Here goes. Get him. On me. Tempest flame. Ha! Samaya.
Yes, Captain. Butterfly.
On my mark.
Understood!
I'll take care of it.
Giants won! Gale burst! We make a perfect team!
Thank you for keeping our spirits
That
up.
was nothing.
I needed that.
Fine, B. So we take 5? Last push, sure you get them all!
Looking good. Looking good. Just like that. On my mark. How's this?
Done block the finals.
Enough!
And I think that's everything. You were awesome out there.
Good work. Now let's get back out there.
Hello. Let's see. Here are the details. We're counting on you.
We ready?
Stay alert. Don't let anything get the jump on you. If
Attack
they want to
formation.
fight, they've got one.
The tide rises.
Heads up!
There is butterfly emerges.
Like the north wind!
Come what rain on the hill.
There!
Crescent moon.
Saiyan! We kicked some serious butt there. Let's keep it up. Looks like
Careful
they're coming
now.
for us. You ready?
The tide rises. Foam on the sea. Half
That flag thug gets on my nerves.
They shall fall.
You got it.
Perhaps I should have done well done.
I've been thinking the same thing.
Looking good. Just
Flutter. Rain
on my mark. Don't move!
falls.
Rain from above!
Stay focused!
Looking good. Just
Wind in the field.
Wide open! Surrender!
enough! We got this!
Attack here.
On my mark. You better stay focused. Of course.
Great!
Of
Want
course.
to get left behind. What
reflexes.
All secure. We should check the next area quick.
All right.
Anyone apply? They've got one.
Looking good.
Here goes.
I'll handle this.
Okay.
I want ice swords too.
You're
Just
welcome
like
to
that.
train with me anytime.
Looking good. Here we go. It's over. Just like that. Hold steady.
Stay focused.
Looking good. Let's end this. You have my This is why we're the best.
No foe compares to us.
That wasn't even our
We'll
plan.
clean it
Looking
and
good.
go.
No escape.
To victory!
They're finished.
Ball.
For the sky.
Carry on,
Stay
everyone.
focused. Yes.
You're right.
Focus up,
Let's
Leo.
make haste.
Dawnfly stands.
Away with you.
Yeah, turn them against each other. Let's go.
In position.
Okay.
This crew rocks.
Indeed,
That
we
was
became
great.
one.
Take that. That should take care of this area. The next zone awaits. If
Get in
they
there.
want to fight, they've got one. This should do it.
Take this.
Don't get ahead of yourself, okay?
Let's go, crew.
I'll take the vanguard.
We fight it.
Spread your will.
Close call.
Try to keep up.
Wind in the field.
Don't move.
Great, it's
Tide rises.
Take for form.
Press on. On my mark. You're mine. Don't let up yet.
Yes.
great.
Focus on the dangers ahead.
Time to make a beeline for the flag.
Ball.
Now or never.
Looking good. Let's patch you up.
Pour out, pal.
Hey, look, lay it on all together.
You're mine.
They shall
Here's
fall.
our chance.
Understood.
There is but one way. Come what may.
There. Direct hit.
Foam on the sea. Nice ball.
An opening. You won't fall. Not now, not ever. Ah! Samaya.
Yes, Captain. Butterfly. Moon. Lancelot.
Understood.
Looking good.
I'll take care of it.
On my mark. Fight us. Shine as one. Gale burst.
Take that.
For keeping our spirits.
That was nothing. We're in the home stretch now.
All right.
Keep it up.
Take this.
Superb teamwork.
Yeah, that was great.
We'll frame any foe.
Don't move.
They're wide open.
All over for you.
Keep your staff at the ready.
You don't have to remind me. And I think that's everything. You were awesome out there.
We made it through.
Skyfarers, we need your aid! Goblins! Goblins in Tempeal!
We were at the dock in Folka, taking care of landing procedures, when a panicked old merchant rushed toward us. In between his wheezing, he explained that a shipment of relief supplies headed for Tempeal had been intercepted by monsters. Tempeal reminded me of Id and how he had totally beat our butts. It was embarrassing, yeah, but what's worse, it reminded me of losing Lyria.
Tempeal, huh? Maybe this time around I can actually help out.
That wasn't Vern's usual peppy tone. He was probably reliving those bad memories, just like me. I guess after you've spent as much time together as we have, you pretty much share a brain. It wasn't going to be a fun journey to Tempeal for either of us. But we were Skyfarers, and desperate times called for brave faces. Anyway, goblins. Smart. Fast. That meant we wouldn't have the luxury of time. We needed to throw together the minimum amount of supplies needed for the journey and head out. I turned to Vern so we could discuss game plans, but then I saw his ears were droopy.
If we're fighting goblins, then we should have them licked by lunch.
Something was wrong, but with the hasty flight preparations, I couldn't spare the few minutes to investigate. Pull through it, Vern, I thought. We need you. A little less than an hour later, it was time to depart. But Vern was nowhere to be found.
Hurry, Skyfarers! We can't waste another second!
The later we got there, the more supplies would be stolen or destroyed. This could add up to weeks or even months of delay in Tempeal's restoration. Vern, I hope you're okay, bud. I was worried out of my mind. But a captain's gotta do what a captain's gotta do. I left a message for Vern with the merchant, and we set out.
Goblins? I can't even fight stinking goblins! What good am I? Just a scaredy lizard who brings everybody down. Man. If only I was more like my pal, swinging swords and shooting spells. Then I'd finally be able to help out. Maybe I could have stopped Avia from taking Lyria. Maybe I could have done something. How do you live the skyfaring life without combat skills? Heck, I can't even blow sparks, much less fire. What kind of dragon can't breathe fire? Huh, I tell everybody I'm a cool dragon, but I'm just a faker.
You are unworthy.
You were right, Ed. I'm not worthy. Not worthy of being in the crew. Not worthy of being the captain's best bud.
Ah, finally, here you are! I was looking everywhere for you!
Uh-huh. What did this old dude want with me?
Your captain left you a message. The crew's gone on ahead, but as an indispensable member of the Grand Cipher, they want you with them as soon as possible. And that's an order.
Indispensable? That meant, like, VIP, right? Me? For a second there, I was about to blow it off. Like, yeah, right, my bud's just saying that. But then I remembered, this crew had always kept it real. No lies, no flattery. Yeah, we kicked butt because we believed in one another. These guys were my best friends. And maybe we weren't perfect. I mean, we lost to Id, but my bud put his captain boots on and got right back up and tried again. It was never about swords or magic. It was about always moving forward, never giving up. And more than anything, it was about being there for each other. What was I worrying about? Who cares if I couldn't fight? There are 1,000,002 ways to help on an adventure. I mean, you try questing without a cook or a healer.
Hello? Merchant of Vern, do you read me? If you're done daydreaming now, I've got a ship ready to go.
It was time to get a move on, or I wasn't worth my scales. Sorry, everybody. Your pal Vern is on his way.
There we go. Let's do it to it.
The supply should be this way. Let's move.
Uh-oh, our potion stock's running low. We'll be okay against a few goblins, right?
Hopefully. Just don't overdo it.
Know your place.
Sure hope Vern's okay.
He was really down, wasn't he? Poor Vern.
Get out of our way! We're in a hurry here!
Oh,
Fear no darkness!
Foam on the sea.
It's over!
Damn, they're back for more. Right when we were about to cross the finish line.
I see people! Over there, by the supplies! We have to go help them! One more!
Folks doing okay?
Skyfarers!
We're doing better now. We need these supplies to access and heal. Please, would you protect them? We're on it. Take cover, okay?
Now for ruin!
Where's that came from? Phew. I think that was the last of them.
Thank you. You've saved Tempeal's future.
Heads up, goblin reinforcements. Just don't quit.
Did you miss me? Took me forever to catch up.
Vern!
Vern, was that an explosive? When did you get bombs?
Here come more of those stinking gobbles. Can you take them?
Sure can.
A blessing from your
Now
lord.
it's on!
Foam on the sea.
One more!
Yikes!
The river!
Coming from above! Got to the mountain! Over!
If those goblins manage to steal any more of the supplies, then the relief effort's good as done. No kidding. They've already hauled half our grain to higher ground.
Higher ground? Sounds like a job for a cool dragon.
That's a great idea, Vern. Put your wings to use.
Are you sure you can manage? What if the goblins spot you?
Piece of cake! I'll be back in 30 seconds or your money back!
Rain on the hills. Cast away.
I found some of the stolen supplies! They're safe and sound!
There! All right!
Here's second one! Here,
Sisters,
I brought
all better
potions.
now.
Everyone feeling better?
Thanks, Vern. You're a lifesaver.
Those goblins are getting nasty! Don't fall for their trick!
Lay it on 'em!
Got 'em all back! Those sneaking gobbos didn't get a single sack!
The enemy have started their retreat. I think the worst has passed.
Thanks to you Skyfarers, Tempeal's finally gonna be rebuilt. We owe you everything.
Vern was the real MVP.
Aw, shucks. I bet you say that to all your lifelong pals.
Skyfarers never fail!
After we'd secured the supplies, Vern talked about how he didn't think he was good enough for the crew. Obviously, he was the only one that felt that way. I'd always appreciated his support. During fights, he was a supply runner, lookout, and cheerleader. And both on and off the battlefield, he was my courage. But even the best people, and dragons, get discouraged sometimes. I really should have been more vocal about my appreciation. I made sure he knows now. We won the day because he came flying to the rescue. Just like I knew he would.
I'll always be there for you, pal.
He was back to his old self, basking in the praise of the crew. Which caused his ego to swell like a balloon, but hey, who doesn't need a little confidence boost after a dip? And Vern, let me just say it now. I value you. And all the hard work you do. From the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Good day. Let's see.
Sometime after our mission in Tempeal, we bumped into the old merchant in Folca.
Well, look who the cat dragged in. Thanks for handling things in Tempeal. You all deserve the best.
Tempeal had been roughed up by Furican's rampage, and all of the locals were busy repairing the damage. The work we did that day had been crucial to those recovery efforts.
Out of curiosity, my young lizard friend, were you much help to your crew?
Uh-oh. He said the L word. I turned to Vern, ready for his usual furious tagline.
Thanks, Pops. You really helped me see the light.
Huh. This was new. The old man threw an apple to Vern, and they exchanged a nod. Then, without explaining this bizarre bond between them that just came out of the blue, he left.
Does anyone else feel like the space-time continuum just broke?
Io was staring, dumbfounded at the small dragon, who was already happily munching away on a tart Granny Smith. Had he matured? Enough to ignore his most hated of hated insults?
Seriously, this is just too much to believe. He called you a lizard and everything. Maybe the ship will be a little quieter from now on, huh?
Hold it! I ain't no lizard! And don't you say that in front of the apple! What if it hears you?
Maybe he'd get there in another adventure or two.
I come from a long lineage of proud warriors. We had a great number of visitors at our dojo, many of them masters of their respective disciplines. At some point, I picked up a blade of my own and began to mimic their movements. Back then, I enjoyed the training for what it was, valuing the journey over the destination. That is, until I met him. The Supreme Swordsmaster of the Eternals, Eata, once known as the demon Zamba. With a single glance, he identified all of my weaknesses. Then, with a few words, he taught me to overcome them. His strength was beyond captivating, I even eavesdropped on a conversation between him and my father, and discovered we were distant relatives. I was elated. For some time, he continued to train at our family dojo. I took every opportunity I could to learn from him, following him wherever he went. I ate whenever he ate. I committed all his mannerisms to memory. However, with the exception of our first encounter, he never acknowledged me. After all, he yearned for nothing more than strength. Why pay heed to a weakling, such as myself? So I vowed to become stronger. I would soar so high, he'd have to see me. I dedicated myself to training, begrudging even a single moment of respite. The blade was everything to me. And eventually, there was no disciple at the dojo who could come close to rivaling my skill. That was around when he vanished. In the blink of an eye, he was out of my life. He spoke not another word to me, nor called me by name. I was meditating in the forest one day when a group of travelers approached me. I didn't know them, but they were the captain and the crew of the Grand Cipher, and my future. Initially, I thought they were lost and had come to ask for directions. I was only half correct. They were seeking guidance, but not out of the woods. They wanted to learn martial arts from me. I shook my head. I was no master. Only a chrysalis, struggling to break free of my own shell. I believed the captain was mocking me. But that wasn't the case. I looked into the captain's eyes and found truth, alongside a burning desire for strength. It felt as if I was in his presence again. I found myself drawn to the captain. That's why I decided to join the crew of the Grand Cipher on their journey across the skies. I was convinced that this was the only path that could reunite me with Zomba. One day, I encountered an adorable Harvan girl at a local market. I'd already finished my shopping, so I decided to accompany her to a nearby cafe for tea and conversation. Upon parting, I asked for her name. She proudly introduced herself as Fief, one of the 10 Eternals. I had heard that Zomba once cared for a child of the same name. A jealousy brewed within me that I hadn't felt before. Zomba had taken notice of her, yet he never once acknowledged me during our time together. My inner peace had been shattered. I retreated to the mountains and started my training anew. But the more I tried to find direction, the more I realized how lost I truly was. It was Lyria and the captain who brought me back. They appreciated me for who I was. Nothing more, nothing less. Perhaps I too could learn to love the living, breathing me, and not a ghost of the future. That thought filled me with so much contentment. I was ready to give up on chasing Zomba. But the universe works in strange ways. As soon as I was about to let go, Fief helped bring me and Zomba together again. It was then I finally put into words how I felt. I spoke about how I wanted him to acknowledge me, to call my name. He listened quietly, and for what I felt was the first time, truly saw me. But I had yet to see and love myself. As part of my quest for self-discovery, I crossed blades with Zamba. No, Ayata. We fought for days. He no longer believed I was a weakling. After our battle, we visited the tea shop, and it was there that he first addressed me by name. Never had tea and cake tasted so sweet to me. Now, with nothing holding me back, I am free to soar toward ever greater heights with my beloved companions on the Grand Cipher. I had failed that day at the Hailwind Altar. I had spent years training and sharpening my skills, devoted my entire life to the pursuit of strength. But in that moment, it all amounted to nothing. Our experiences in Zego Grande had planted a seed of doubt in my mind. Over time, it grew, dense and wild as a jungle, choking me with a sense of helplessness like I'd never felt before. I wasn't able to protect Lyria or the captain. I had found my identity as a big sister, as a guardian, but now that I'd failed, who was I? I thought about resuming my training, but I couldn't afford to isolate myself like that. What if something were to happen while I was away? Then, the solution came to me. Whenever the captain was about to take on a dangerous mission, I would complete it first. That way, I could train myself and protect the crew in one fell swoop. I was too blind to see that despair had clipped my wings and chained me once again to the past. Are there any particularly dangerous missions available? Sierra Carte, with her usual cheery disposition, set a list of options before me.
Sure are. We've got a few jobs here that only a crew of your caliber could handle. In fact...
She paused and looked at me with a quizzical expression.
You know, I can't even remember the last time I saw you here by your lonesome. Don't you usually do things as a crew?
I told her I intended to undertake these missions alone, as part of my training.
I gotcha. The grind never ends for you, huh? Just don't push yourself too hard, you hear?
I nodded, only half acknowledging Ciro's words. After deciding upon a venture, I chartered a small carrier vessel which would take me to a nearby island. As the ship was tossed about the turbulent winds, I closed my eyes and looked for peace within. This is for their sake, as well as mine. According to Ciero, the threat should be somewhere around here. I sense great evil. Just a little farther. Shall we test which is stronger? Your shield or my blade? malice. You cannot be allowed to live. Stay vigilant! Once more. I can see how this battle will end. It ends with your death! Must be done. Rain on the hills. There is but slowly. You bring nothing to the skies but suffer. Carry! Your anger is no match for mine. Worthless. But it's not over yet. I will not rest while evil runs free. Do you not have anything more dangerous? I made quick work of the mission and returned at once to Sierra. She seemed taken aback when I demanded more work, but I was determined. If someone had to risk their life, better me than the captain. The crew didn't have to know. They would be kept free from worry and danger, while I grew stronger. I was so absorbed in my thoughts, I'd failed to notice how Sierra's eyes grew ever more clouded with worry.
Need something?
If I hadn't met Master Zaka on that fateful day, if he hadn't saved me, there's no way I'd be where I am now. I'm from the Vault's Duchy, where the weather's sweltering all year long, thanks to a river of lava that flows through the island. My hometown might not have been the most scenic place, but as long as I had Master Zaka with me, I was happy. After traveling for so long, I can finally say that with pride. Before I left on my journey, I was completely clueless. When my master went missing, I just ran around like a chicken with its head cut off. I was looking for something, anything that would help me find him, and that's when I met the crew. The reason behind his disappearance turned out to be even worse than I could have imagined. The Earth State Empire had driven him out of his mind. They had manipulated him into awakening the primal beast that had lain dormant beneath the ground, Colossus. Fortunately, I was able to break through to him, thwarting the Empire's attempt to exploit Colossus's powers for conquest. I learned that they were doing all sorts of horrible things, even to their own people, in order to achieve their goals. My master was a kind person who never hesitated to help those in need. I resented the Empire for making him suffer. And I couldn't just sit around when there was work to be done. That's why I decided to join the crew. To stick it to those Empire jerks and give their victims something to smile about. A few years before I met the crew, I lost my parents to an epidemic. I mourned their deaths for who knows how long. I could barely even bring myself to face reality each morning. With no living relatives and vaults, I was like a ship adrift at sea. I had nowhere to go and nowhere to belong. Until one day, my master reached out his hand to me. I was so depressed I just kept staring at the ground. That gentle smile never left his face as he asked me, "Why do you look so sad?" There was something in his voice that made me look up. When I did, a beautiful bouquet of flowers appeared in his hand, seemingly out of thin air. I had no idea how he'd done it, but I knew it must have been some kind of parlor trick. But he insisted it was magic. What a goofball, right? Saying that when he can use real magic. But it was just the magic I needed at that moment. Beautiful and kind. He went on to show me all kinds of incredible spells, the likes of which I'd never seen before. Watching him made me smile at a time when I thought I'd forgotten how. My master would always say that magic exists to make people happy. Something about that spoke to me. It made me want to become a mage just like him. So I signed myself up as his disciple, begging him to teach me magic. I'll never forget how happy I was when he told me I had talent. After all, if he was right, that meant I had the potential to make people smile too. One day, shortly after I joined the crew, I suddenly lost the ability to use magic. No matter how many times I tried casting a spell, nothing happened. I had no clue what to do. The rest of the crew thought Master Zaka might have the answers I needed, so we set sail for Vaults. It'd been forever since I'd been back home. My master was thrilled to see how much I'd grown. I opened my mouth to ask him about my problem, but when I saw how happy he looked, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I'd promised him that I'd come back as a great mage, but there I was, unable to cast even a single spell. The last thing I wanted was for him to be disappointed in me. Around that time, an epidemic returned to Vaults, the same disease that had claimed the lives of my parents. Wanting to keep it from spreading any further, my master headed to the clinic to speak with the people who'd been infected. But he ended up getting sick too. The source of the epidemic turned out to be an evil spirit that revealed itself to us right there in the clinic. I immediately confronted it. That rotten creature had already taken my parents from me. I wasn't gonna let it take anyone else. Determined to make it pay, I raised my staff, but nothing happened. I'll never forget how it felt to watch, helplessly, as my parents' killer got away. The crew gave chase, but I continued to stand where I was. Without my magic, I didn't see the point. I'd just end up getting in the way. All I could do was watch as my master suffered, withering away. Nothing had changed since the last time. But you know, it wasn't all bad. In search of a solution to my magic loss at the local library, I happened to come across a beautiful golden staff, one left to me by my mother. That's when Master Zaka revealed that my mother had been a mage too. On the verge of tears, I clenched my staff tightly in frustration. My beloved home and master were being threatened by a disease-spreading spirit, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. Just as I began feeling completely hopeless, the staff began to glow. Somehow I could feel it encouraging me, empowering me. So what if I couldn't use magic? Surely there were other ways to help everyone. Unable to stand around doing nothing any longer, I ran off to find the crew. When I finally tracked them down, they'd already been rendered powerless by the disease. That left me as the only person who could fight. There wasn't a second to lose. It was that moment when I decided I was done running away. I'd promised myself a long time ago that I was going to use my magic to make people happy. Filled with newfound resolve, I heard a voice coming from the staff. Mom? Is that you? The voice told me to visualize the power flowing through me. As I did, I could feel magic welling up inside me, flooding out from deep within. With my mom's help, I was able to defeat the evil spirit. As soon as it was gone, light erupted from my staff. I turned to see the rest of the crew climbing to their feet, their symptoms gone. The power spread through the entire island of Valt's Duchy, eliminating the disease and bringing smiles back to the people. Things were a little touch and go there for a while, but in the end, everyone pulled through. And I've been able to use my magic without any issue ever since. I just know it's because my mom is watching over me through my staff. Thanks to her, I can keep traveling with the crew, using the staff she left me to bring out more smiles along the way.
The roar of fire, a cry of pain. Before me, the hewn carcass of a monster, yet smoking. I smothered the pity arising in my heart, for I knew that to let the beast live was to let others die. I long for days when I need not draw my blade. They say the skies are endless. Yet I have not seen any part of it unclouded by monsters or raging primals, where the drums of war did not roll like thunder, nor have I discovered any path to order that was not carved out with swords. Though I joined the crew to found the Halcyon country of my dreams, our journeys have taught me to fear my quest is only that, a dream. For we live in a time when all things are driven by violence. And yet, who knows what lies just beyond the horizon? The captain said we would sail for a new skydom tomorrow. For once, may we alight upon shores of unbroken peace. The House of Wales had 3 sons, bound as much by love as they were by blood. The eldest was named Aglavale, the next, Lamorak, and the youngest, Percival. I had not yet seen many summers when war broke out in a neighboring country, raising a tempest of violence that would blow us all asunder. My mother, the Queen Heartzeloida, opened the gates of our castle to all who had lost their homes, even those hailing from beyond the borders of our kingdom, she would often say.
Regardless of our lineage or nation, we are all connected, in joy and in sorrow.
It was through her example that we learned to honor our neighbors. And yet the same people she gave generously to would be the very ones to take her life. I will never forget the scene of her death. I can yet hear the echoes of Aglavale's curses. See the stark white of Lamorak's face as his magic failed to save the one thing he treasured most. And I can feel the warmth leaving my mother's hand as I knelt over her, unable to offer anything but my tears. To the very end, all her thoughts and worries were for us. How can an absence feel so heavy? What heart, having borne the weight of grief, will not be changed forever? For my part, I grew to despise the violence that robbed me of my family. I swore I would raise a new kingdom, above the tides of blood, where the gentle gardener and the honest plowman may live out their days in peace. The same grief, however, bent Aglavale on a different path. Believing he could conquer tragedy and banish it from our lands, he began amassing great power. But where power treads, war soon follows. It is custom for the sons of our house to serve as knights in foreign countries, thereby learning the ways of the world. I went to Fiendrock, an ally of Wales, and there joined the Black Dragons, in time becoming vice captain. Fiendrock made no distinction between me and its native-born children, and I grew to see it as my second home. But no sea is so placid that storms do not brew. There was strife here, too, sweeping over the lands like an illness. I set out on a journey to seek its cure, and that was how I met the captain. Never had I come across a greater fool. In the captain's eyes, there was no sky dweller too high or low to merit aid. No person too strong or weak to join the crew. Who better then to stand by me as I built a kingdom on an impossible dream? And it was not I, nor Lancelot, nor Vayne, nor my former commander Siegfried, but the captain who contributed most to the restoration of Fiendrock. Once the dust settled, we found traces of a foreign power that had first sown the seeds of unrest. We tracked this power back to Wales and its throne room, where my brother Aglavale sat. Still mourning for our mother, he was waging a war on war, murdering tragedy and washing away tears with blood. But one cannot fight fire with fire, for what beauty will bloom from the ashes? Once again, I borrowed the aid of the captain to stop my brother's rampage and help him see reason. Though Aglavale's deeds were wrong, they came from a desire to do good. 'Tis a simple matter to speak words of censure. The wise guide others not through saying, but through doing. Thus I shall build my country and show my brother it is not the flames of war, but the gentle hearth fire that will guide us to peace. Each day brings me nearer to my aim. Fortune has granted me a handful of stout-hearted vassals, the captain foremost among them. Though I am not possessed of any land, our ship is bound for the end of the skies. Surely we will sail over some quiet green fields where I may lay the cornerstone of my kingdom. My greatest care is the safety of the crew. The path of the Grand Cipher is beset by many perils, and I will not have a single vassal taken from me. So I have resolved to travel alongside and defend my captain, until the day I may sheath my sword forevermore. With each Skydom I visit, I survey both the lands and the people, hoping to extract the worthiest hearts as vassals for my own kingdom. To that end, I return to Folca, the first settlement we came upon in Zega Grande. But though the earth is ever filled with rich soil and strong rock, true gems are few and far between. So too are the noblest spirits. The people of Folca were of a good but common sort, who preferred constancy to change. They had no army, and peace in the city was kept by a band of volunteers. But if there is one thing I have learned from the captain and crew, it is that wisdom and strength often reside in the unlikeliest of places. Thus I sought out the Fulcan Defense Corps, hoping to find a diamond in the rough. The city folk, however, expressed little faith in their guards.
The Defense Corps? Full of bums who got more stomach for eating than fighting.
Better off calling them the Defense Corpses for the fat lot of help they are.
Yet these were dangerous times for Folca. Brigands and monsters now swarmed about the city, attracted like flies to the reek of Avia. The people looked to the Defense Corps for protection, but received only excuses.
We don't have the resources to combat this threat. Take shelter until the danger is past.
And so the city grew to trust vagabond skyfarers more than their own soldiers. Though I had little hope of finding a vassal among this ragged band, perhaps there was a lesson to be learned from their weakness. When I build my kingdom, it will need to be governed by its own councils. But houses of power, choked by the vines of corruption and frailty, ever fall into decay. Is there any prevention? Where does the first crack form? It was in Folka that I would piece out the answer to this riddle.
Ah, the wind. Riding aboard the Grand Cipher, soaring across yet another cloud bank, I felt a pang of envy. The wind goes where it pleases, and it arrives when it may, a quality I have long sought to adapt to my fighting style. Here I stood in comparison, shackled to my duties as captain of a knightly order. Oft have I imagined the brighter futures I might have discovered, if only I were faster, more like the gale. Had I risen like a storm front, I could have prevented wars. Had I rushed like a squall, I could have circumvented tragedy. But as the wind continues flowing forward, so too does the passage of time. Idle ponderings would change nothing. I had exchanged my freedom for the greater good. Quietly, I repeated a promise I made long ago. Henceforth, I shall endeavor to combat adversity, so much as I can, for as long as I live. Happily, this hasn't been a hard course to follow, for it runs parallel to the path of the crew, gracious hosts and, on occasion, lively companions.
I want you to broaden your horizons for the betterment of our kingdom.
I now see the wisdom and kindness behind King Carl's decree. For it was my journey aboard the Grand Cipher that taught me how to cast control to the winds, to ride unbound and at the mercy of the gales. When I was a boy, my best friend's parents were killed by wyverns. After witnessing the depth of his grief, I decided I would become a knight. I would protect the kingdom from monsters and the tragedies they wrought. But there was one massive wall standing between me and my goal. It was not aptitude, for I had some talent with the sword, but the station of my birth. At that time, Fiendrock was a kingdom run by its aristocracy. Commoners were restricted to a life of labor, and the knightly orders were composed entirely of noble houses. Immediately I was rejected, told that I could offer my sweat to the crown, but not my blood, for it lacked the proper lineage. I was not deterred. Who was to say that our stone-walled villages could not breed warriors as well as our gold-gilded courts? I studied, I trained, and I worked harder than any man had ever worked to become a knight. In the end, my efforts bore fruit. Siegfried, who at the time was still in the service of the king, understood my plight and changed the course of history. He allowed me into the order of Black Dragon Knights. But uneasy rests the commoner with new acquired titles. The nobility would only be too eager to dismiss me over the slightest misstep, and prevent the chivalrous orders from being contaminated by peasant filth. I could not fail. The weight of my people and the future of the kingdom spurred me. I had to become the perfect knight. My ascension was not easy. If given a choice, I might have chosen a different path. But when I had at last emerged from the crucible of trial and tragedy, I was a changed man. I was the captain of the White Dragon Knights. My mentor, Siegfried, was captain of the Black Dragon Knights. He once saved the kingdom by killing the dreaded dragon, Fafnir, and vouched for me when no other would. So when my friend and counselor was convicted of regicide, I felt betrayed. Siegfried's downfall thrust upon me the leadership of the newly dubbed White Dragon Knights, and I swore to bend all my power toward bringing him to justice. In hindsight, this anger was misplaced, foolish. There was no reason for Siegfried to assassinate the king. I should have deduced royal consort Isabella's hidden coup, long before turning on a man whom I knew to be steadfast and honorable. My mind trembled under the pressure of newfound responsibility. It howled and grieved for the loss of a beloved king. I know that this amounts to no more than an excuse. It was my flash judgment that drove me away from Siegfried when he needed me most. Had I been left to my own devices, the conspiracy may have never been brought to light. But I had Vayne and Percival at my side, and, though hunted by all the country, Siegfried himself infiltrated Isabella's cabal and alerted me to their treachery. I may owe the biggest debt, however, to the Skyfaring Captain, whose aid was instrumental in restoring peace to Fiendrog. After the dust had settled, His Majesty King Carl decreed that I explore other countries so I could gain experience befitting my new station. Thus, I became another crewmate aboard the Grand Cipher. Since then, I have visited various lands. I have seen myriad peoples and the responses to numerous threats. I have learned many things and gained many new teachers, and as they have given freely to me, someday I hope to give back to them. But there are yet countless leagues to travel, so on I sail across the skies, seeking the strength and wisdom necessary for a true leader. Zega Grande Skydom. How much time had passed since our arrival here? With our battles against the Church of Avia and the pacification of many primals, it certainly felt like a lifetime. But now that things were a little quieter, we were content to return to our usual bread and butter, satisfying requests from locals. Though the crew was accustomed to quests of all sorts, one day, there came a demand that left us puzzled.
Sorry for the confusion, folks. This request isn't for the whole crew. It's an escort mission for Lancelot, specifically.
Me? But why? There were few in this Skydom who had even heard of my name. Curious, I asked about Hans, the man who had posted the quest.
Oh, you don't know him? Seems like he was real familiar with you. Anyways, he's a butler for the Lord of Grosgard.
I hesitated. There was nothing I could do that another crewmate couldn't accomplish just as well. Acknowledging a specific request for me felt discourteous in a way.
You're not at your fancy-ass court anymore, okay? On our ship, you don't have to worry about rubbing anyone's ego the wrong way. If you're interested in the job, just take it.
Though he may not have been tactful, Eugen was, as ever, a fount of wisdom. Very well, then. I shall hear what this Hans has to say.
It is a pleasure to meet you. I am Hans, butler to his lordship.
The next day, an elderly man ambled onto the Grand Cipher, leaning heavily on his cane. But looking into his eyes, I sensed deep wisdom and a sharp mind. The pleasure is mine. I am Lancelot, a Skyfarer. Forgive me for not accepting your request at once, but I would like more details before returning an answer.
Yes, well, his lordship Ludwin is in need of an escort.
Hans explained. Ludwin was a lord of Grosgard, and he was looking for a mythical sword passed down through his family for generations. So far, his search had led them to a snowy peak, but nearby monsters made the trip too dangerous to risk without protection. Does your lord not employ a personal guard?
He does. But as this quest is for personal gain, he believes that commanding their service would be an abuse of power. However, the Lords of Grosgard have never been gifted in the martial arts. So if we head to the mountains without a decent sword arm, tragedy will surely befall us.
But what led you to seek my sword arm specifically?
Well, we knew we needed a highly experienced Skyfarer. The mission is dangerous. Far too dangerous for any amateur. But perhaps more importantly, his lordship is quite the fan of yours, Sir Lancelot.
A fan? My voice cracked in surprise.
Yes, you are known as a knight exemplar, talented in both combat and scholarship. How fortunate that this very same Lancelot would come to our land and proffer his services.
Whatever accounts you've heard of me were surely exaggerated.
And so humble. Lord Ludwin will be overjoyed when he hears that we've secured your aid. The Honorable Sir Lancelot to protect us. What could be better? So, will you accept?
Though this idolatry did not sit well with me, I could see no reason to refuse. From what I'd heard, Ludwin seemed an honorable man. Besides, there was much a Lord of this Skydom could teach me. Very well. On behalf of our crew, I accept your request. Hans and Ludwin were waiting for me at the foot of Mount Nagelith.
It is an honor and a privilege to meet you, Sir Lancelot of Fiendrock. Hans has probably already told you who I am, but allow me to formally introduce myself. I am Ludwin, Lord Protector of Grosgard.
Though his aura was imposing and befitting of a lord, he also felt courteous and down-to-earth. The honor is mine. Though I am now no more than a Skyfarer, I swear to protect you and yours with my life, should it come to it.
Well, whatever your title, I am glad to have your aid.
Ludwin was beaming. Hans had told me of his excessive devotion, but it was another thing seeing it in person. I suddenly felt I wasn't quite sure how to conduct myself. Right. So you believe a family heirloom is hidden among these peaks?
Not the sword itself, but the first of a series of trials that shall reveal the blade in due time.
I see. And what is the first trial?
There's a record somewhere around here which should detail the whereabouts of the sword. A little game of my family's, if you will. But on second thought, perhaps a great knight such as yourself has nobler things to do than this frivolous treasure hunt in the snow. Yes, perhaps we had better call it...
My lord.
Hans was stern. More mentor than butler.
The ancestral trials are not frivolous. Each one holds an important meaning. Those same challenges taught your father how to reign. Skies rest his soul.
Yes, you're quite right. Forgive me, Hans. So, with that settled, I shall count on you, Sir Lancelot, to provide the muscle. For as you may know, I am sadly little more than a statesman.
I am yours to command. With that, I unsheathed my twin blades and started our quest. The white dragon unfurls its wings. Come. I'll go on ahead and make sure the path is secure. For your own safety, try not to stray.
Oh, do let me know if I can be of assistance.
My lord, let's leave the fighting to the professionals, shall we?
Oh, yes, of course. Well then, Sir Lancelot, do what you do best. Is down! Now what will we do?
Let's search for another path. This mountain is vast. I doubt this is the only trail.
That looks like a way forward.
The footing seems a bit treacherous. Please watch your step.
God! Monsters!
Stay behind me. I'll deal with this. Wide open! Too slow! Surrender! Give me! Away with you! Yeah! Parry this! I think that was the last of the monsters.
What glorious form, Lancelot! It is a pleasure to watch you work.
If you're unhurt, my lord, we had better proceed.
Wide open! It's hard to breathe.
Lots of these ranged fop-doodles. Do be careful, Sir Lancelot.
Don't worry. I'll close that distance in a heartbeat. Too bad for you! You won't prevent it! Once more! Like the North Wind! Is this a dead end?
No. Look! A chest!
Wait, this monster.
Get behind me! A giant eyeball! I think I've read about this monster! Nazar Bonju!
Correct. Our crew has faced it once before.
Ah, such daring do, brave Lancelot!
Stay focused!
Wait, what?
They're growing desperate. Be on guard!
Terrifying beast! A single glance and I feel frozen solid.
We'll see which is colder. Its gaze or my frost.
I might blink! Wide open! Parry this!
I believe we're safe now. After this, it's back to training.
Impressive! The Twin Fang prodigy does not disappoint.
Thank you, my lord. I hadn't done much during our climb, so the praise caught me unawares. Shall we check this chest? It could contain the record you seek.
Yes? Let's see what she's holding.
The young lord opened the box. A rather dry affair, as we already knew what to expect.
And here it is!
In his hands, he held a flaking tome, its pages warped and yellowed by age.
This takes me back. Once upon a winter, I sought out that very book with Ludwin's father.
And now it's been passed to me. But this...
As Ludwin flitted through the pages, his face twisted into expressions of greater and greater perplexity.
I can't read this at all! Is this some sort of code?
I suppressed the urge to take a glance myself. My duty was to protect, not translate. In the end, it was Hans who broke the silence.
If it pleases his lordship, shall I offer a hint?
Ludwin shook his head.
No, this is a trial that I must conquer myself. And on that note, I believe you are dismissed, Sir Lancelot. I thank you for your services today, and payment will be made forthwith.
Understood. If ever you need my help again, do not hesitate to call. Thus, my private escort mission ended without much fanfare. And yet, I had a feeling that our paths would cross once again. At least, I hoped that they would. There was something about Ludwin. His earnestness, perhaps, and his love for his comrades that resonated with me.